School officials have arrested multiple teachers, administrators, again, put up the mugshots. Now, we just covered something like this, okay? This is in Midland, Texas. Police announced that 4 school administrators had been arrested for failure to report with intent to conceal abuse. From left to right, let me read who these individuals are. Todd Freeze, MS and US Dean of Schools, of Students. US History teacher Shelby Hammer, head of school. Crystal Myers, head of middle school. And Adrian Clifton, assistant head for administration, director of admissions, okay? Their bonds were only set at $5,000 according to jail records. Now let me tell you what they did to this particular student, okay? The investigation is ongoing. According to the arrest affidavits obtained by News West 9, a female student under the age of 14 was reportedly sexually assaulted multiple times going back as far as September 2019. Years of abuse. The victim told an interviewer at Midland Children's Advocacy Center in February that she had been assaulted every other day for around 4 months while at the school. The suspect, who has not been identified but appears to be a fellow student based on information within the affidavits, reportedly began touching the victim's leg when the teacher stepped out of the classroom before beginning to touch her in other places. She tried to ask for help from another student who reportedly laughed at her. After this incident, the student broke down and told a friend, who then reported the incident to the dean of Trinity, later identified as Freeze. The victim later told that person another incident had occurred in front of cameras in the gymnasium. Now you got evidence, right? She also told Freeze she was scared of the suspect due to his difference in size compared to her. They told her they would check for the camera footage, okay? The affidavit continues to describe the multiple sexual assaults the victim faced, including him groping her and forcing her to touch him inappropriately. The victim's parents decided to contact Freeze by email. However, this person claimed to Midland Police that he did not receive any such email. The parents then went to Trinity to discuss it in person, who said that he had interviewed the suspect and downplayed the incident, calling it a he said, she said situation. Eventually, the parents had enough and confronted both him and Myers, who would tell the parents they work on it, while Hammer claimed to be unaware of the incidents. Here's the cover up. This is the cover up. When COVID hit, it would provide only relief, temporary relief for the victim, because the victim missed school. But after returning to school, the parents removed the victim from the school. There's more. September 2020. Hammer sent out a waiver to the victim's parents that would settle the dispute about the assaults. According to the affidavits, the waiver would allow the parents to receive a portion of the tuition paid for the school year 2020 to 2021. That's called bribery. If they signed and avoided litigation or admission of liability or wrongdoing. The parents reviewed the document, hired an attorney before ultimately deciding not to take away the victim's right to speak out about her assault. Put up the picture of these monsters again. They have been arrested. Okay? Now, just last week in Midland, Texas, we covered another story about these 5 school staffers. Once again, private Christian academy in Texas, they are facing felony charges over accusations they failed to notify authorities after a 9th grader was sexually assaulted by an older student at the school. Okay? Where's the legislation? Where's the movement from Republicans and Democrats to create legislation around these issues inside of school buildings. Republicans still want you to think that critical race theory is the greatest evil that can happen in K through 12 education. It's not even taught. But you know what really is happening in K through 12 education? Those monsters. Are they fighting our elected officials, fighting at your legislature to make sure monsters like this cannot coexist with our children? Or are they busy telling you that critical race theory is somehow the worst thing that has ever happened inside of the school system? It's a fairy tale. Ms. Dahl, thoughts?
First of all, that 14-year-old was incredibly brave to be able to go and report it. And the fact that that was her response is tragic, really. I've wondered why, the Me Too movement did such a good job in this country of bringing these things to light, but it did not involve students at all in the Me Too movement. And I think it is huge. I think it's as rampant, the amount of sexual assault cases, students, involving teacher, student, and it was completely left out of that conversation. And I think it needs to become a conversation. Again, children in these schools are vulnerable. You can't quit your school like you can quit a job, and you're not even an adult. I think that they are put in a position so much worse in terms of sexual harassment, and they face it. Students are facing sexual harassment, and we need, like you said, it's not being talked about at all. They need to create a Me Too movement just for this area of women and men.